In a single day, history witnessed a level of death almost impossible to comprehend. Imagine waking up, grabbing your morning coffee, and going about your normal routine. Now imagine that within the next 24 hours, every single person in a city the size of modern-day San Francisco is completely wiped off the face of the earth. No modern bombs, no world wars, no advanced weapons, just the raw, unfiltered fury of our own planet. This isn't a Hollywood movie pitch. This actually happened. And the most terrifying part? Most people have absolutely no idea it even occurred. Let's go back in time. Chapter 1. The Calm Before the Silent Apocalypse. The year is 1556. The place is Shaanxi, China, during the height of the Ming Dynasty. To the average person living here, life was pretty good. The economy was booming. The culture was thriving. It felt stable. It felt permanent. But the way these people lived held a dark, hidden secret. Millions of residents in this region lived in things called yaodongs. These were artificial caves carved directly into the sides of massive silt hills. Now, don't think of these as dark, primitive caveman dungeons. They were actually incredibly clever. They were cool in the scorching summers. They stayed warm in the freezing winters. For centuries, generations of families lived, slept, and dreamed inside these earth-carved homes. It was the ultimate architectural life hack of the 16th century. But these beautiful, cozy homes were carved out of something called loess. It's a type of fine, powdery, yellowish soil deposited by the wind over millions of years. Think of it like packed sand. It's incredibly easy to dig into. It holds its shape perfectly under normal conditions, but it has one fatal flaw. It hates water, and it absolutely cannot handle vibrations. On the evening of January 22nd, 1556, hundreds of thousands of families blew out their candles and climbed into bed inside these dirt caves. They felt completely safe. They wrapped themselves in their blankets, totally unaware that the very ground cradling them to sleep was about to become their coffin. Chapter 2. The moment the earth liquefied. It's roughly midnight. The date has just turned to January 23rd. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, a massive fault line snaps. A monstrous magnitude 8.0 earthquake explodes into existence. But this wasn't just a normal earthquake where things shake and fall off shelves. Because of that unique loess soil we talked about, something truly nightmarish happened. The Earth literally liquefied. The solid hillsides holding up hundreds of thousands of homes instantly lost their structure. They didn't just crack. They turned into a thick, heavy fluid. In a matter of seconds, thousands of yaodong caves collapsed simultaneously. Millions of tons of heavy, suffocating yellow earth dropped straight down onto the sleeping families. There was no time to run. There was no warning siren. There was nowhere to escape. If you were inside a cave, you were buried alive under a mountain of dirt in a fraction of a second. As the sun began to rise on January 23rd, the horror only multiplied. The shaking didn't stop. Powerful aftershocks kept slamming the region, leveling whatever structures were left standing. Massive stone walls built to withstand invading armies crumbled like graham crackers. The Huaxian prefecture, right at the epicenter, saw every single building completely flattened. The force of the quake was so violent that it altered the entire geography of the region. It triggered massive floods because rivers were suddenly dammed up by fallen mountains. Within just 24 hours, an area spanning 500 miles wide was transformed from a bustling, prosperous empire into a silent, smoking wasteland of dirt and debris. Chapter 3. The terrifying aftermath. If you think the initial earthquake was the worst part, brace yourself, because what followed over the next few weeks was a literal living hell. The earth had ripped open. Giant crevices, some over 60 feet deep, scarred the landscape. Entire villages that once sat on top of hills were now swallowed whole, sitting at the bottom of these newly formed canyons. In the cities, cooking fires that were left unattended during the panic quickly spread. With no civil infrastructure left and no way to fight the flames, massive firestorms broke out. They burned completely out of control for days. incinerating anyone who had survived the initial collapse. Then came the bitter cold of January. Survivors had no shelter, no warm clothes, and absolutely no food. The supply chains of the 16th century were completely erased in a single night. With hundreds of thousands of bodies trapped under the dirt and rubble, the water supplies quickly became highly toxic. Disease ran rampant. Typhoid and plague swept through the camps of the survivors, taking out those who had miraculously cheated death just days prior. According to historical records kept by the Ming Dynasty, the local government completely collapsed. Bandits and looters roamed the ruins, fighting over whatever scraps of food or clothing they could dig out of the dirt. It wasn't just a natural disaster anymore. It was the complete and total breakdown of human civilization in the region. Chapter 4. Accurate historical comparisons. To really understand the sheer scale of this tragedy, we need to step back and look at the numbers. Because to the average person today, 830,000 is just a number on a page. It's hard to truly wrap your brain around it. So let's put it into a modern perspective that you can actually visualize. 830,000 people. That is roughly the entire modern population of San Francisco, California, or Seattle, Washington, or Denver, Colorado. Imagine one of those entire cities, every man, woman, and child, disappearing from existence in less time than it takes for the Earth to rotate once. Let's look at some other historic disasters we all know about. The atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima killed around 140,000 people. The devastating 2010 Haiti earthquake took an estimated 250,000 lives. The Shaanxi earthquake killed more people than both of those world-changing events combined. Multiply that by 2. In some counties near the epicenter, historical records state that over 60% of the entire population was killed instantly. Think about your friend group, your family, your co-workers. Imagine 6 out of every 10 people you know dying at the exact same moment. It remains, to this very day, the deadliest earthquake ever recorded in human history, and it all happened centuries before the invention of cars, planes, or electricity. Chapter 5. The coincidences in chilling eyewitness accounts. But here is where the story gets truly eerie. Like many of the worst disasters in history, there were warning signs. Signs that people ignored. In the months leading up to January 1556, locals noted strange occurrences. Well water supposedly bubbled up randomly, tasting like sulfur. Animals behaved erratically. Rats openly fled homes in broad daylight. But without modern science, nobody knew what these signs meant. They just went about their lives. After the disaster, those who survived left behind chilling eyewitness accounts, carved into stone tablets that we can still read today. One surviving scholar, Chin Keda, lived through the nightmare and wrote down a set of rules for future generations. He wrote, "At the very beginning of the earthquake, people who are indoors should not go out immediately. Just crouch down and wait for a chance. Even if the nest is snapped, some eggs may be preserved." Think about that. He was giving advice on how to survive your house collapsing on top of you, based on the horrors he watched his neighbors endure. Another record describes how mountains literally move locations. It states that rivers ran backwards, and new hills popped up where flat plains used to be. The earth was reshaped like clay in the hands of a madman. These aren't myths or fairy tales. They are stone-cold historical facts preserved by a traumatized society trying to process the day the world ended. The Shaanxi earthquake of 1556 is a stark, terrifying reminder of one simple truth. We live on a planet that is dynamic, alive, and completely unpredictable. We like to think that our modern technology, our tall steel buildings, and our advanced warning systems make us safe. But nature operates on a scale that completely dwarfs human ambition. The exact same fault lines that ruptured in 1556 are still out there today, right beneath our feet, silently building up pressure. It's not a question of if the Earth will shake like that again, but when. If this deep dive into history blew your mind, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel bring more of these insane, forgotten historical stories back to light. Next week, we are looking into the terrifying mystery of an expedition that sailed into the Arctic ice and completely vanished into thin air. You won't want to miss it. See you then.